Hello everybody, today is another day. Today I want to discuss Lori Swanson, the Minnesota Attorney General. She's not the current Attorney General, but she's the one who facilitated and started all this madness when it came to fraud in the state of Minnesota. Lori Swanson is a Democrat. We can all assume when fraud is involved, they're all Democrats at this point. And she served in that position from January 2nd, 2007 to January 7th, 2019. During this time, fraud was normalized in the state of Minnesota. Today, we will review who Lori is and see her intimidation tactics and her cronies she used to create fear with whistleblowers and in her own cabinet.
In a different studio, in a different time, and how far you have come. Minnesota's first female Attorney General, magna cum laude graduate of William Mitchell Law School, and you were picked by, as I think it's Lawyers USA, as one of the top attorneys, 10 attorneys in the country. Champion of the Year by the National Consumer Law Center. What else?
Well, it's been a real honor. It's great to be back on your show, and has been a real honor to serve the people of Minnesota as Attorney General. You know, we are going through such a tough economy still, and when you go through these bruising financial times, the little guy, the ordinary consumer, can get hurt, and it's been a real privilege and honor to get to go to bat for people these last 7 years.
But you haven't just served the people of Minnesota. You have aggressively gone out to protect the people of Minnesota. You've had more high-profile actions out of your office in the last couple of years than I think any Attorney General had in a decade at least. And let's talk about some of them.
Sure.
Yes, let's discuss this. So, not only does Lori have a lot of potential, but she also has people she uses to intimidate other people in order to keep them quiet. Let's introduce you to one of her henchmen.
Well, DeAndre Norman describes himself as Lori Swanson's right-hand man and says he was instrumental in helping her advance her political career while in office. Now, in a stunning turn of events, he's filed a restraining order against her just 2 days before the primary.
She depended on me to do some things that I knew weren't wrong, but I was just so happy at the time and like starstruck.
For the first time, DeAndre Norman is facing the cameras along with the reporter who first broke this story online to detail what he says went on in the Attorney General's office under the leadership of Lori Swanson. The Chicago-born native was first hired by the Hatch administration in 2006. He then went on to work for Swanson as a utility consumer dispute resolution mediator. But Norman says he spent close to 80% of his time as her political handler, recruiting volunteers for campaign events and keeping tabs on who was truly loyal.
And she wanted people to staff her. Certain things had to be done, some things had to look right. And that was my job, for instance, to make sure that got done. But a lot of that was done on the clock.
Swanson has completely denied these allegations. In a statement to Fox 9, a spokesman from the AG's office says, quote, any employee of the Attorney General's office who chooses to participate in the political process, whether for Lori or another candidate, does so voluntarily on their own personal time and not while on the clock for the government. Fox 9 caught up with Swanson at the DFL debate on Friday to address these claims.
I think, in terms of this hitting before, 5 days before an election, I think it's dirty pool. I do think it's payback.
Swanson's office then released Norman's criminal record, which details charges of insurance fraud and theft. A spokesman tells Fox 9 it's publicly available. But in a motion to file a restraining order late Friday, Norman's lawyer says these convictions were supposed to be expunged.
They always told me I was family. I was at every fundraiser, every, envelope, stamp, you name it, I was there.
Norman's accusations against Swanson were first published by The Intercept, an online news outlet, last week. Swanson questioned the motivations behind The Intercept story. She successfully sued several companies that are associated with the person who financially supports the outlet.
I never worked with the Walzer Murphy campaign. Lori Swanson has alleged that this was somehow a feud between the owners of The Intercept and her company, which is completely ridiculous. I picked the story. I'm a freelancer. It was, that's completely untrue.
Norman says he's not looking for any money, and he's coming forward now, just 2 days before the primary, because people are paying attention to who they're voting for, and he feels it's his responsibility to speak out.
The truth shall set me free, So that's it. None more, none less.
Interesting. Have you noticed that these people get real holy when they're explaining their crimes away? Now let's meet somebody who was intimidated using these tactics from people like Norman, who are really just common street thugs with a suit on.
Potential to be Minnesota's Watergate. I stand by my allegations. I stand by my claims about the $100 million. It could potentially be higher than that.
Scott Stillman was a digital forensics supervisor for the Minnesota Department of Human Services from 2007 to 2017. In 2018, he sounded the alarm in front of the Minnesota Senate and the Minnesota House.
And believe me, Minnesota's government programs are being victimized by organized crime because of lack of controls.
Stillman was the first to blow the whistle on what he and his colleagues were uncovering as early as 2015. Fake daycares defrauding Medicaid for millions.
Every time I did a search warrant, every single time we went through the door during business hours, there were never children in there, ever. It was set up with tables and chairs and toys, but they appeared disused, dusted.
These daycares, is it fair to say that they were run by members of the Somali community here?
Every daycare I investigated was run by Somalis, owned by Somalis. This was fraud and other issues on a scale I had never, ever encountered before. And you see them billing Monday through Monday, holidays, weekends, sometimes 12, even 24-hour billings, and you see no children coming and going. And you're realizing, okay, you look at the logs and they're billing for 100 kids a day. And in one case, or in cases, they identified money going from their bank accounts to prominent politicians in Minnesota.
And then what? What happens?
We started seeing a lot of our cases, we would present them for prosecution, and we were presented with roadblocks. You don't have enough evidence. This isn't really a crime. Questions of, they thought, issues of race.
He wrote 2 emails to his superiors at DHS.
And I felt I had a responsibility, a moral responsibility. I also had a legal obligation. I wrote 2 emails, detailed emails to my supervisor, recording my concerns, giving them statistics, dates, times, dollar amounts, things of that nature.
If the general public knew the gravity of what we were seeing, it would have a negative impact on DHS, its leaders, and state government. We need to have an outside, independent entity conduct an audit of DHS's handling of the hundreds of millions of dollars being misspent, despite repeated warnings to senior management that state money is being used to fund terrorism. Then, he says, the political machine destroyed him. They forced him to sign a plea agreement in an unrelated lawsuit stating he had made false statements, which Stillman says was used to damage his credibility.
The the Attorney General's office, the Minnesota Attorney General's office, and Department of Human Services came to me and said, something has developed and we are now going to require you to sign a plea agreement. We know you didn't do this, but we really don't care. If you don't sign it, we are going to destroy you.
Stillman left DHS and moved out of state. 8 years later, Stillman was proven right. In December 2025, U.S. Attorney Joe Thompson estimated the fraud at $9 billion.
What we see in Minnesota is not a handful of bad actors committing crimes. It's a staggering industrial scale fraud.
He exonerated me in the fact that everything I had said during my Senate and House hearings was not only accurate, 100% accurate, but it was incredibly conservative. I think this is the biggest fraud in the United States history. It's a threat against our country, and most people are totally unaware that it's even happening.
Why is this still happening when you sounded the alarm over 10 years ago.
The politicians have not stopped it. And you can draw your own conclusions as to why they haven't stopped it, whether it's because they're complicit or they have ties to these entities or they have friends who are getting rich off of it. I don't know.
Now, I want to point something out that's brutally apparent at this point. If you say anything or ask any questions, the first tactic they use is accusing you of being racist. They will shout you down and they will become incredibly violent. For years now, they've used things like it's okay to punch a Nazi to make themselves on the moral high ground and able to use violence and accusations to shut you down. This brutal tactic of accusing people of racism has destroyed good lives. It cheapens the effect of the word. And not only that, but these people act like they've never heard the story of the boy who cried wolf. Eventually, these things can take place, and no one will care or do anything about it. They will think you're just another person playing the victim.
No. Yeah, I would like to see if I can put my son Joey here.
Who's your son, Joey?
My son Joey. Can I check out daycare center?
No! I'm the owner.
Do you put your kid here in this daycare?
No.
There is one child in there. Yeah, I'd like to know if this is a legit business.
Me, I'm scared of you too. How come I explain everything?
You're scared of me?
Yeah.
Why?
Because of your curry.
Because of my color. You said you're scared of me because of my color. Does that make you a racist?
Yeah, no.
But
No.
you said you're scared of me because of my color.
I'm not saying you're racist.
You said you're scared of me because of my color. That makes you a racist. So right now, they're all getting mad because he's showing the paperwork of this business being registered as a business. 74 children, no children. We saw one child when the lady opened up the door. But now they're all getting mad.
What was this money spent on? 1.26 million. What was that money spent on? There aren't any kids.
Ask the owner and the kids.
Well, then why are you talking for the owner if you're telling me to talk to the owner?
I'm sorry. I'm not understand what you're talking about.
Do you have a child here?
No.
Does anybody?
No.
Where are the 74 kids? Did you lose them? Did you lose these kids? Do I need to call someone? Do I need to issue an Amber Alert for missing children? Are these children missing? It's not my business that children are missing. 74 infants and toddlers, preschool.
The proof's right there. There's no children anywhere.
It's from the state of Minnesota right here.
ITT Services. How are you doing, man?
I just want to ask you,
Yes, sir.
why are you sensationalizing the propaganda?
What are we sensationalizing?
To attack our community. What's your final objective?
We're not attacking your community by any means.
Are you making good money from this?
We're looking for fraud.
No,
for instance, can you answer our question? Where's Safari Transportation Company 607? It's not there. And why don't you answer?
How much money are
Why don't you answer the question? Where's 617 Dreamline Security?
How much money are you making?
I make money off of YouTube. That's how I make my money.
Exactly. So you're making money off of sensationalizing.
That my job
and attacking
is
the Somali community.
I'm not attacking you guys. We're asking.
I'll tell you the
fraud
reason
is
why
fraud,
this is
sir.
happening. All right, let me tell you the reason why
fraud
you're
is fraud,
this.
correct?
Yes.
This has nothing to do with race. This is fraud.
This
fraud.
absolutely has to do with us being Muslim.
No, it does not.
All right, and us being from Africa. This is a constitutional argument. If you don't want us here, change the freedom of religion. Say, listen, we don't want Muslims in this country anymore.
We're not saying that.
No.
We're not saying that.
When I go
Sir,
onto
we're
your
talking
comments,
about fraud. You're talking.
When I go onto your comments,
My comments.
what I see is people that say we do not want Muslims here. Kick every single Muslim in Minnesota out of Minnesota.
That's a comment.
You are You're
That's not what I'm saying.
You're preparing for the Somali community to maybe be taken to concentration camps, just like
How?
the Japanese community. All
How?
right, you're sensationalizing.
No, we're not.
All right,
Sir,
something that
answer
can
the
listen.
question. Where-
that's something
where
that can,
is the transportation
something
vehicle
that can
company?
jeopardize
Answer the question.
the safety and the protection of the Somali
fraud.
community.
We're talking
if
about fraud,
anything
sir.
happens to the Somali
We're talking about
community,
fraud.
listen, I'm not doing anything. I'm not physically touching
You're getting very close.
I'm not physically
You're
touching.
very close.
No, I'm not physically touching you.
This is fraud.
What
We're
you're
talking about
doing-
fraud.
what you're doing-
You're
what you're
defending
doing-
fraud.
when I
You're
go
defending
into
fraud.
your comments,
You're defending fraud.
People who hate Muslims
Okay,
want
people
us
can-
out of here
people can say
for
what they
being
want. I'm not
Muslim
censoring anybody.
are using your material Islamophobes, use your material. People who hate Islam, use your material. Say to us, we don't want you here. Change the Constitution. But guess what? Let me tell you something. Guess what?
Say it. We're asking about
You know,
fraud.
we're
asking about fraud.
You hate Muslims.
I'm not saying I hate Muslims. We're talking about fraud.
Muslims.
We're talking
Why
about
are you
fraud.
attacking us?
This
Are we
is
the
fraud.
only community
We're
that suffers because of fraud?
We're talking about
Are
fraud.
we the only community that does fraud? Are we the only community that does this?
This is about
All
fraud.
right, but there's what, 300 Somali
This is
providers in
fraud.
all of Minnesota?
There's actually
Don't
800.
touch me.
Keep talking.
Don't
go
So,
Do you speak English?
transportation
Right?
companies.
Your security doesn't even speak English. Listen,
Yeah,
let me tell you
so
something.
see, this isn't a race issue,
Listen,
sir.
let me
This
tell
is
you
about
something.
fraud.
We have, what, 1,000 providers?
Yeah, you guys have a...
Even it's 2,000 providers.
Okay,
You
sir.
want to sacrifice the safety of
Sir.
80,000 people
We're not
because of fucking 2,000 providers?
That's enough.
Are you fucking mad? Are you stupid?
I'm not stupid, you're stupid.
You're
Where's the transportation company?
What about if a mass
Listen.
shooting happens in Minnesota? It will be because of you. It will be because of you. If any Somali gets hurt in Minnesota, it's because of Nick fucking Shirley.
This is-
Any Somali,
this is about
if
fraud.
one single Somali gets hurt,
This is about fraud,
it's because
sir.
of you. Sensationalizes. You son of a bitch. Sensationalizes.
Wow, you're
Get the
very
fuck
nice.
out of our neighborhood.
Very nice.
Get the fuck out of our
Sir,
neighborhood.
can you tell me where the
Get the
transportation
fuck out of
company
our neighborhood. We don't want you here. Get the fuck out of here.
Calm down, sir.
is? Calm down, sir.
Get the fuck out of here.
Sir, this is
You want
about
to
fraud.
sensationalize? You wanted clicks?
You're
You got clicks.
sensationalizing yourself,
You
sir.
wanted clicks?
You're
You
sensationalizing
got
yourself.
clicks. You wanted clicks? You wanted the YouTube?
Tell me where the
You
transportation
wanted
vehicle
YouTube
is.
clicks? You got YouTube clicks. Now get the fuck out of our community.
Tell me where the
Get the
transportation
fuck out of our
vehicle is.
community.
Tell me where the...
You
This
stupid,
is about
racist
fraud.
motherfucker.
This is...
Say I don't want
This
Muslims
is about
here.
fraud.
Say I don't want Muslims here. Say it.
I'm
Say
not-
I want to change the Constitution.
No, I don't
and
wanna
wanna
change the
freedom of
Constitution.
religion, and I don't want Muslim Somalis in Minnesota. Kick them out. I was born in this country. You have to take the passport away from me.
Relax.
That is what you are
Sir,
arguing for.
we're not talking...
Change the Constitution.
This is about fraud.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Get the fuck out of our community.
This is about fraud.
Get the fuck out of our community. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. Stupid fucking idiot.
Tell me where the transportation company is then.
Get the fuck out of here.
Obviously, for this video, we had to get...
Now that we see the tactic firsthand, which I believe worked fantastic for Lori Swanson and her team, let's see how the tactic evolved into shutting down whistleblowers today.
State your name for the record and
My name is Faye Bernstein. Chair Niska, members, thank you for allowing me to speak today. I'm one of those whistleblowers, and I am a current state employee. And I'm also a Democrat. I've only voted Democrat, and that's why I think this is a really sad day for me. I consider myself a very loyal person. I have worked at the state agency I'm at for 20 years. I believe I've had 3 jobs since I graduated from college. I've lived on the same block for 20 years. I'm kind of a ride or die person. But I want you to know my experience. And what happened to me was 7 years ago, I was what I would consider at the top of my game. I was in one of those rare times in life where you really enjoy going to work and you know that you are doing a very good job and life was really, really good. And everything I'm going to say now, I don't in any way mean to reference my coworkers, my peers. Your average state employee is very, very good, very good. I'm not unique in any way. I'm not uniquely smarter than anyone else or uniquely able to notice fraud any more than anyone else. I'm just a regular state employee. All of my comments and my concerns are really about the leadership and those that have appointed that leadership. So about 7 years ago, I noticed risky contracts that I was seeing. I had a promotion and I, for the first time, was seeing many contracts, more than just my own. Everything was sort of funneling through me in my work area. And so I started going up the ladder for the next 6 months, as a person would do, and talking to my supervisor, then their supervisor, and up and up. And so what I found was that I was really kind of getting nowhere. So after that first thing of noticing these things and realizing I was getting nowhere, I then realized that we had incredibly unqualified leadership. Not only did people not really know the solution to what I was bringing, but they really didn't even understand what I was saying. And that didn't make a lot of sense to me, because looking at their salary and their job title, this is something they should have clearly understood and said thank you and proceeded to solve it. And that isn't what happened at all. What actually happened is the messenger gets shot. I became a very unpopular person amongst leadership there. And the retaliation in the smear campaign is strong. I was called everything from incompetent to a favorite is racist. You people who speak about fraud at state agencies, the first thing that leadership goes to is racism. And that is very hard to take. It is humiliating. It is career killing. Obviously, who is going to hire someone who is considered racist? So at some point in that period of time in 2019, there was a poster put up at the agency, and it had 3 names on it. It was one of those posters that was sort of that if you see something, say something kind of thing. And there was 3 names on the poster that we were to contact if we had concerns about fraud, waste, or abuse. And so I was working with those 3 people. And over the next year, those 3 people really made my life about as miserable as it could be. That was a period where my son was young. He's a teenager now, he's with me. But he was young at that time, and I used to sit on the front step of my house and cry because I didn't want him to see me cry. Because you don't want a young kid to see that. And those 3 names. Okay, let me just talk about those 3 names. One is our ethics officer in the agency I work at. She called me to tell me that if I spoke in front of the legislative committee, that I would likely be fired. So that's our ethics officer. Then our, at that time, chief compliance officer, now our commissioner, she had me involuntarily transferred to a different position to get me out of where I was. She called me on a Saturday along with our HR representative and told me that when I returned to work the next week that I had a new job. And I said, do I have any choice? And the answer was no, it's this or nothing. And the third person on that list, who was our director of auditing, so he's an auditor, he completely outed me. I reported fraud to him, and what he did is call up the person I was reporting on and said, Faye Bernstein just told me da-da-da-da about you, just completely outed me, which, as you can imagine, led to more of me crying on my front step.
I'm sorry, Ms. Bernstein, I'm sorry this happened to you, and thank you for sharing your story. I hope we pass this resolution so you can provide further information, you and other whistleblowers. So, thank you.
And I'm sorry, I've testified a few times and I've never cried, but I guess I've never thought about myself sitting on that front step. And that just really kind of got me.
If you could wrap up your testimony.
Thank you. So this did not end. It continues. I speak to individuals from other agencies. As recent as last Monday, 3 days ago, I spoke to individuals from another agency, and this is precisely what is going on. The retaliation continues, the fraud continues, and there is no accountability. There is absolutely no accountability. And what that makes me repeatedly think of is the cartoon with the dead horse on the table, and everyone is walking around thinking, should we get a new saddle? Should we give the horse a new name? Should we train the rider better? And of course, that's not going to solve it. I don't have any sage wisdom. I'm, like I said, an average state employee, but I grew up on a farm and I know a dead horse when I see it.
That's absolutely horrible. And I agree with her. The horse has been dead for a long time. But this didn't start when Nick Shirley broke open the case. This started a long time ago. And we've been conditioned to think it's okay and allow people in power who hide this and don't face it. It's time for us to make serious changes and recognize the real problems. Sanctuary states that facilitate fraud in order to pocket tax money for themselves. Now I want to end this video with Ilhan Omar's latest interview with the Breakfast Club, where not only does she admit to the fraud, but she continues to be arrogant about it. And it's because she knows she could use her race to shame people into allowing it to continue.
That's all I care for is respect. All the conversations right now about, the oversight committee and you and your husband and your businesses. Yeah. And I've seen you say that you think that this is just a distraction. Right. But like when things like that happen, it's like, but those same people are the people you're telling us to have empathy for and want to go have conversations with, like people on the other side who are suggesting that you be investigated.
Yeah. No, I mean, and I listen, suggest all you want. Please investigate all you want, right? Like, to me, I'm not like I'm above the law and how dare you, like I understand politics. I understand what these people have to do in order to like feed their base. What I'm talking about is, are you going to vote for these things that we want voted on, right? Are you going to oppose the things we want opposed on?
I get it.
So to me, like if we can be on a team to get these policies that are helpful for the bottom line for every struggling American, let's do that.
I get it. I think it's,
but
no, go ahead.
If it is about like all the other stuff, yes, then we'll battle because that's necessary. And so that's kind of my distinction between those two buckets, if that makes sense.
So let's stay here for a second.
Yeah.
Republicans, like Lauren said, they are pushing this ethics probe over your family's finances and your husband's business dealings. What do you think that's really about? Is it accountability or politics?
Well, it's not accountability because they haven't done anything formally, right? So it is just politics. It's like, we're going to subpoena, we're going to do that. It's like, it's all of these things that are not, they're never going to do. So they're just saying it because then that gets them an interview on Fox or Newsmax, or, you'll see they tweet and like 5 minutes later, if you check, they already got a clip of themselves being interviewed 5 seconds later. And so it is more about, and it's usually like a lot of members that struggle to get or are like really desiring, right? Like there are a lot of members who come to Congress and they are comms heavy. Their office is very comms heavy. They're trying to get on every TV show that they can. And so that's what a lot of it is like driven by since I got there. It's like you say something about Ilhan, people fundraise, they're buying me a ticket back home. It's like, it's all of this stuff. I joked with Nancy Mace that she could drop off the ticket because I'm next door to her office. She hasn't dropped off a ticket yet. If you mean it, send me that ticket, but it's all about, how do I get this click? How do I, then send the fundraising email? How do I say, I'm holding Ilhan accountable? There's never really anything that they're holding on to. Yeah.
So are you saying that some of these investigations are more partisan than others?
I haven't seen it.
The Justice Department has said that they're also going to look into your husband. Are you concerned about that?
They haven't said. I haven't seen a single investigation.
That's what I was wanting to know.
Yeah,
so is there an investigation?
If you know of some, let me know.
I wouldn't call it an investigation. There's just been a focus on the rapid increase in your household wealth tied to your husband's companies.
Well, they have to make a choice to investigate, right? Like, do they choose to investigate or not?
I mean, if you've done something illegal, you would investigate.
But they're not investigating you.
I have not been made aware of an investigation into me or my family.
But when you look at the increase in your household wealth tied to your husband's companies, you understand why that raises questions for people watching from that outside.
Yeah, but that's again one of the. It's their saying, right? Like there is no wealth increase. If you look at my husband's income, it's almost non-existent. He's, helped make sure our children are, going to college, and our young one is taken care of. There is no wealth. There are ranges to businesses that he was invested in. I'm pretty sure. I don't even know what.
Well, they say. Well, correct me if I'm wrong. Because they said you reported a net worth between $6 million and $30 million, and they said your 2023 disclosure was roughly $40,000, between $40,000 and $250,000.
Yeah, but they're not net worths. They're like the asset things for the companies, and so I don't know what percentage of it my husband actually has investment in. Like that's not, you know what I mean? It's not a full picture of the numbers in the way that it is presented in the document, because in the documents we have to do ranges and we have to like report in a way that is not detailed. It's not like your tax return that you're submitting for the public record to see.
But that is a big increase, though. So you could understand why people would ask questions.
Yeah. But I'm pretty sure it'll get like adjusted at some level when those ranges are looked at.
And I think I saw that your husband was asked to turn over some documents but didn't comply. So is that true?
From who?
I don't know. I guess the Department of Justice. I don't know.
The House Oversight Committee and the Government Reform Committee. That was what was reported. That I think it was early on in like January, February, that he was asked to turn over like emails and different things. And
there is no oversight that the Oversight Committee has over my husband or me. So why would you submit documents to an entity that has nothing to do with you?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like they have oversight over the government, and ethics is the one that has oversight over the member, not the spouse. And so
that's why you said earlier you would like let them.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. It's like I remember like I've had maybe like I don't know 5 campaign finance complaints. Like they file a complaint every other day, and they want the headline, and then once those things get closed, no one writes about the fact that there was nothing there. And I'm pretty sure once this whatever happens with whatever Comer and them are trying to insinuate, that like nothing will be reported out of it, because there's only the accusations that ever get picked up. But I've like never been fined. I've never had any sort of like financial issues.
What about the fraud case in Minnesota with the feeding?
Which is, again, I think that is the reason they are trying to create this thing, is because they think this supposed 30 million, or what did the president say, 44 million, is because of the fraud in Minnesota. They think like I've somehow gotten something, which is insane. But it's a huge problem. I think it's now 230 million. That has been
yes, 250 is what they say.
Yeah,
misuse funds meant for child nutrition.
Yeah, 230 to 250. There's been about 77 or so
75 defendants.
That have been indicted. Many of them have taken plea agreements.
That makes it. They got to make it hard for you, right? Just in general, not because you got anything to do with it.
Yeah.
But when he can point and say, "Well, this actually happened."
No, I mean it doesn't make it hard for me, but it does make it hard for the average Somali business owner.
There you go. Yeah.
It makes it hard for the average immigrant business owner. It makes it hard for the average Black business owner, because it does create this cloud of suspicion, and and obviously it's become very politicized, and it will continue to be politicized as we get closer to November, and the level of harassment people are dealing with. Even you'll have people go to restaurants, coffee shops, with their cameras harassing all of these business owners
and daycares
and
right?
daycare centers,
It's
where people have not been able to take their children because they're scared. And so that aspect of it is hard. When people ask like, what can I do? how can you help? Like that is where it's challenging, because there isn't anything happening to them, but they are afraid, and then they're asking for help, and then because the government is not doing anything, we can't get any information for them, or we can't tell them it's going to be okay. So it's just it creates a lot of fog for us as their liaison to the federal government, but it also creates a lot of fog as they think about growth, development, sustainability, especially in an economy where everything is hard, because in Minnesota we're also very much hit by tariffs. We're a border state. We have a lot of entrepreneurs who get goods from places like China and others. So the tariffs are also causing a lot of economic heartache.
Outrageous. The amount of gaslighting in that clip is amazing to me. Not only that, but they always fall back to racial divides. It's always race. It's always using my color to not take accountability. It has worked so well to skirt responsibility for so long, they just cannot stop using it. Today we're going to end this episode with a prayer. I know I don't always do this, but I believe this one is warranted. Heavenly Father, you are the God of truth, justice, and mercy. Today I lift up our leaders and those in positions of authority before you, where corruption has taken root. Let your light expose it. Where greed has clogged judgment, replace it with wisdom and compassion. Strengthen the hearts of those who stand for righteousness, and give them the courage to speak truth, even when it's costly. Remove those who abuse power, and rise up leaders who will serve with humanity, fairness, and integrity. Let justice roll down like waters, and righteousness like an ever-flowing stream, and guide us into a future where truth prevails and every decision honors you. In Jesus' name, Amen.